In this world, there's one man who refuses to follow the script.
We have rules here, you know that. And if you don't follow the rules, then what are we?
One man stands tall in the face of adversity.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they will love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos. And this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry. Tremendous Sports Thursday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Thursday morning, the world of sports is buzzing. And we are going to get to all the big stories, including why Bill Self returning to Kansas makes Final Four Saturday even juicier. I'm going to explain coming up in about 20 minutes. We will discuss why the Pittsburgh Steelers have absolutely lost their minds. And it is insane what's happening right now this offseason in Pittsburgh. And I will tell everybody, the figure in sports that is having the worst week, and everybody absolutely loves it. So someone having a bad week, and universally, everyone is reveling in this individual's poor week. I can't wait to tell you who it is, and I know that you are going to agree. Our bets for tonight will close the show in the final hour of the Power Hour. Clark Kellogg of CBS Sports, former NFL MVP quarterback Rich Gannon among the guests on this Thursday edition of You Better You Bet. The phone number, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. You can watch the show on YouTube. Subscribe at youtube.com/@thekostos, youtube.com/@thekostos, THEKOSTOS. But we officially begin the tremendous Sports Thursday edition of You Better You Bet with breaking news in the National Football League. And honestly, before we get into the story, just on a human level, it sucks that for the second time this week on the show, right? Monday was the first time. We did some of it yesterday also, and now today with someone different. We are talking about two star athletes having to check into rehab. Like, that sucks. From a human level, you want people to do well. You want people to be healthy. I'm happy that these individuals are getting help. But I just want to say that, like, it gives me and should give nobody any enjoyment to have to talk about stories like this. So it sucks. And hope that anyone out there struggling with addiction in any way, shape, or form, obviously, like, please, please, please ask for help. Like life is too short. Please ask for help. So the story is that LA Rams star receiver Puka Nacua, who, like, if you had to ask me yesterday before this news broke, like, hey, what's the last couple months of Puka Nacua's life been like? I would have said it seems like he's been on one big bender since the end of the NFL season. And I would have said that partially tongue-in-cheek, also partially being serious. So I got to be honest with everybody. It does not come as a gigantic surprise to, maybe it does to you. It shouldn't. But it does not come as a gigantic surprise to me that this news breaks last night. Per Puka Nacua's agent and attorney, Puka has checked into a rehab facility in an attempt to, quote, improve his overall behavior and every aspect of his life. The agent and attorney also said that Nacua, quote, will complete the program in plenty of time to be involved in all the Rams' OTAs. So just to bring everybody up to speed on the timeline of events here with Puka Nacua, if you haven't been paying attention to this, and you don't have to, that's what I'm here for, to pay attention to this stuff so I can inform you about what's happening when we get news like this. So back in December, this was during the NFL season. If we remember, right, we talked about this leading into the Thursday night game that the Rams had against the Seattle Seahawks, and a game that might have cost the Rams the Super Bowl. Not Puka's fault that they lost that game, but just saying, right? Puka went on an internet live stream with people of questionable repute. I know nothing about these people, just saying that that's what seems to be what a lot of individuals say about that, and had to apologize for performing an anti-Semitic gesture, saying that he was unaware that the gesture was anti-Semitic. Again, I am 42 going on 80. I know nothing about any of these people. I did not watch the live stream, but this is what happened on the live stream, and Puka apologized for it in the aftermath. And then, last month, a woman in Los Angeles filing a lawsuit against Puka Nacua, alleging that he made like an unwarranted and unwanted and out of nowhere anti-Semitic statement towards her in New Year's Eve and bit her shoulder. And if you wanted to, it would not be difficult for you to go on the internet and find images of this bite. I'm not saying that I'm on the lookout for these sorts of things, but it seems like this is something that actually happened. And all the confirmation we need that something's going on here is that Puka Nacua is taking the opportunity to check himself into a rehab facility. So earlier this week, at the NFL League meetings in Phoenix, and we talked about this from a different angle, right? Sean McVay spoke to the media, Rams head coach, and was very glib and said, we would love for Jimmy Garoppolo to come back to be Matthew Stafford's backup. And if not Jimmy G, we would love for it to be Kirk Cousins. Like, he said that. Like, coaches normally aren't as forthright as he was. He mentioned that the team had made Devontae Adams available in trade talks. Again, think about how glib that is, how forthright he's being, and how that's normally not the case. I think that's pretty interesting. And when pressed about everything that's been happening off the field with Puka Nacua, McVay gave him an impassioned defense, didn't forgive him of everything that's happened. That's not what it was, but said multiple times that he believes in Puka Nacua's heart and that you put your arm around the young man, and he believes in Puka, and Puka's got to do what he's got to do. And now obviously those comments can be viewed through a different lens now that we know what we know, which is that apparently he's been in a rehab facility for quite some time, right? And that he was in one presumably when Sean McVay gave these quotes. So it makes it a little more interesting, right? And that he wants to put his arm around the young man, etc. There is a lot going on here. Before we do anything on Puka, just on Sean McVay, these comments from McVay are a little wacky. And this is how it goes, not just in sports, but in life. You can hate this reality if you want. It changes nothing. That reality. If Kanata Mumfield is one of the Rams' depth receivers, bit a woman on the shoulder and had an anti-Semitic remark towards her. If Jordan Whittington went on an internet live stream with an anti-Semitic gesture, or Xavier Smith, who had the fumble in the NFC Championship game, if he's, getting wasted in public, do you think that they're still members of the Los Angeles Rams? Do you think that Sean McVay believes in the heart of Jordan Whittington if Whittington's caught doing these things? Or that he wants to put his arm around Kanata Mumfield if Mumfield's doing these things? If they did this, they'd be gone. And this is not unique to I want to be clear. This is not me dragging Sean McVay. Any coach in the NFL would do the same thing. Anyone in business would do the same thing. Because the fact of the matter is, Puka Nacua is one of the best, forget about receivers. He's one of the best players in the NFL, period. He's unbelievable. He's great. So Sean McVay looks at it and sees all the targets and all the catches and all the touchdowns, right? Bite a women, no big deal. Hates Jewish people, all good. Catches balls over the middle. This is how the NFL operates. Former Arizona Cardinals general manager Steve Keim had a great quote over a decade ago saying, if Hannibal Lecter ran a 4.3, the NFL would diagnose him with an eating disorder. This is how it goes. Star players get preferential treatment, and no matter how you feel about Puka Nacua, the fact of the matter is he is a superstar, a megastar in the National Football League. Before we go any further, I want to say this, and it's the same thing I said yesterday about Tiger Woods. I've been around the block in my life, not as long as some people, but I'm almost in my mid-40s. And I don't need to keep saying it this week, but we keep getting these stories, right? I just to say it, because the human side of this is way more important than anything to do with sports. We'll do all the sports stuff. I have seen in my life, and I hope that you haven't in yours, because it's terrible, what addiction can do to people, right? And how, whether you're rich or famous, or you don't have money and no one knows who you are, it's very hard for people to ask for help. And you can yell at people until you're, and I have in my life, you can yell at people until you're blue in the face, but it's like the saying goes, you can take an animal to water, but you can't make it drink. Puka Nacua deserves credit, whether you think he's getting pushed into this or not, whatever. He has the right to say no to stuff. We have seen people more rich and more famous than Puka Nacua say no to going away and getting help. So I think he deserves a lot of credit, as does Tiger Woods, as does anybody that tries to do better for himself or herself. That needs to be said. And now we can talk some sports and the football side of this, because there are several really, really interesting layers to this story. The first one, Puka, in my younger days, I love to tie one on, right? I love to go out and drink on a Friday night, drink on a Saturday night, let loose, probably get a little too hammered, and you feel it the next couple days. You get sick, you say something stupid, you do something stupid, candidly. That's why I don't really drink anymore. It helps that my wife doesn't drink. But yeah, like we've all kind of been there in our lives, right? So Puka seems like he's been really enjoying himself, right? Over the last few months. If you've seen him in public, you've seen him do interviews, it seems like he's having a grand old time. Well, this is like the memes. Oh, look. The consequences of my actions are here. Or my personal favorite, me sowing, yeah, this is great. Versus me reaping. Oh, man, this kind of sucks. And all you need to know how badly this might suck for Puka outside of the obvious with like his actual life, we're talking his football life here, all you need are 3 letters. Those 3 letters, J-S-N. In the 2023 NFL Draft, Jackson Smith-Njigba goes in the first round to the Seattle Seahawks. Great pick by John Schneider and company, right? Offensive Player of the Year, helps the Seahawks win a Super Bowl championship. Puka Nacua is a 5th-round pick of the Los Angeles, one of the best, top 10, 20 draft pick of all time if this turns out being great. He stays on the straight and narrow. It's an unbelievable pick by the LA Rams. Remember what we talked about over the last couple of weeks. Jackson Smith-Njigba, who just won again Offensive Player of the Year, signs this extension that makes him the richest wide receiver in the history of the NFL, the highest paid wide receiver in the history of the National Football League. Puka Nacua is also eligible for an extension. they're taking in the same draft. This past season, JSN, 119 catches, 1,793 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Puka Nacua, 129 catches, 1,715 yards, and 10 touchdowns. We are talking a similar caliber of player. Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Puka turns 25 next month. He's ridiculously young and he's ridiculously good. Star. Dependable on the field. Takes hits, gets up, sets the tone. Also apparently hates Jewish people and bites women and they don't ask for it. Now, you want to bite a woman in the privacy of your own home and she's asking for it and you want to do your best Dracula impersonation? Have at it. I don't care what happens behind closed doors. But I'll tell you what, man. She ain't asking for it. Probably shouldn't do it. Probably shouldn't do it. So it is very much within the realm of possibility that Puka Nacua is costing himself a ton of money here with the Los Angeles Rams. Not definitely, but possibly. And that needs to be discussed. And then there's the Los Angeles Rams. The LA Rams entering this season feel to me like an old person with a bucket list. Feeling like the end may be near and you want to check all these things and do all these things you haven't done. Never been to Italy? Hop on that plane. Always been scared of skydiving? Take the leap. Always wanted to bite a woman in public? Don't do that. Don't be like Puka Nacua. Matthew Stafford is the ultimate year-to-year quarterback or player in the history of the NFL. This could be his last year, right? We know that the Rams, it's been reported by reputable reporters like Diana Rossini and Jordan Rodriguez, right? That the Rams were in on A.J. Brown. Sean McVay himself has said that they dangled Davante Adams in trade talks. Like, they know that they gotta get over the hump and they gotta compete with the Niners, who have gotten better this offseason. Signed Mike Evans, are gonna get players back. They gotta compete with the reigning defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. This is their year. This might be it for Stafford. Hell, it might be it for McVay with the way he's talking. Just like, yeah, we want to go sign. And Kirk Cousins, by the way, has just signed with the Raiders. We'll get to that coming up in a few moments. That is breaking news on the show. We'll give you my analysis there in a few moments. Kirk Cousins signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. Puka Nacua is expected to be a huge part of what the Rams do this year. And I would ask you this question. If the Rams can't depend on Puka, and I have no idea if they can or not, they know. Like, they know that. I don't know that. Don't their actions earlier this offseason kind of tell you that they think something might be up? Right? Like, in on A.J. Brown, dangling Davante Adams. They traded a first-round pick for Trent McDuffie, made him the highest-paid corner in the NFL. They signed Jalen Watson. They are all in on this year. And they may not be able to count on the best player on their offense, not named Matthew Stafford. So what happens next? The NFL draft is in 3 weeks. Literally from today. 3 weeks from today. The Rams have the 13th pick by virtue of the James Pierce trade last year, an insane trade by the now fired Falcons front office. My sense is, I feel pretty confident about this. The Rams are going to do something here. Now, I don't know if something means trade for A.J. Brown. I have no idea if that's what it's going to be. Or are they going to draft like USC's Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver? Arizona State receiver Jordan Tyson, KC Concepcion. Like, the Rams are going to do something here. They've telegraphed their entire offseason plan that they are all in on this offseason. And their star wide receiver is currently in rehab. Don't you think they're going to do something? Now, maybe Sean McVay and Les Snead, the coach and GM, really earnestly and honestly and sincerely believe that Puka is going to be on the straight and narrow and they can count on him 100%. Maybe they believe that. But let's do the human thing here, right? You and me. If it's you and if it's me, and we got to count on that in your life, In your job, you can want something to happen. You can think it's going to happen, but something's always going to be in the back of your mind. What if this keeps happening? And that's right, wrong, or indifferent. This is human nature, right? I don't think the Rams are done wheeling and dealing. NFL Draft, 3 weeks away. 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@thekostos, THEKOSTOS. Well, Sean McVay wanted Kirk Cousins to be the Rams' backup quarterback this year. That will not happen because Kirk Cousins has just, in the last few minutes, signed a deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll talk about what that means for the 2026 Raiders and what it means for Fernando Mendoza. Coming up next on a Thursday, Westwood One Sports, Nick Kostos and you, presented by BetMGM.
no offense to any of the pro day, but my goal is to be the best quarterback in September,
right,
the start of the season,
sure,
rather than being the best quarterback today, April 1st for the pro day. Pro day is great when I showcase my guys, but all my focus is on September.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Oh, you know what? Bring it up, Kenny. The autumn wind is a Raider, pillaging just for fun. They'll draft Fernando Mendoza first overall and then sign Kirk Cousins to start week 1. I worked myself into that rhyme. I promise I didn't think about that in advance. I didn't even know Kenny was going to play the music. Great job by Kenny coming back from break with the Raiders theme, the autumn wind. Really tremendous. Should get your juices flowing on a Thursday morning. And the news that the Raiders have signed Kirk Cousins. The voice you heard coming back from break, Fernando Mendoza at his pro day yesterday at Indiana. So we gave you the news. Kirk Cousins is the newest starting quarterback, or the newest quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I said starting there, like kind of a half Freudian slip. So Clint Kubiak, the Raiders' new head coach and the former Seahawks offensive coordinator, Gary's son, said on Tuesday at the league meetings, and I have the quote here and I'm going to read it. Quote, ideally, you don't want him, meaning Mendoza and he didn't say Mendoza. He's referring to a rookie starting quarterback. We know that he's talking about Mendoza. Ideally, you don't want him to start from day one. You'd love him to be able to learn behind somebody. That's in a perfect world. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes they have to play from day one, and it's our job as coaches to get them ready to go. I think it does help the player if they can sit behind a mature adult and watch how they run the show. So in hindsight, this should really not be very surprising that the Raiders have signed Kirk Cousins. And from Cousins' perspective, think about some of the things that were said at the league meetings. And I referenced Sean McVay. McVay literally said Kirk Cousins' name in reference to being Matthew Stafford's backup this year. Also, Matt LaFleur, Green Bay Packers head coach, mentioned Kirk Cousins by name as a potential backup to Jordan Love, with Malik Willis, now the starting quarterback in Miami, with the Dolphins. So Kirk Cousins was going to have no shortage of suitors. And he could have went to L.A. to sit behind Matthew Stafford. He could have gone to Green Bay to sit behind Jordan Love. There are tons of teams that would want Kirk Cousins to be their backup quarterback. With his pedigree, he might not be an elite quarterback in the league, but as a guy who could be one heartbeat away, one play away from leading your team, you could do way worse than Kirk Cousins. So why did Kirk Cousins eschew the opportunity to potentially win a Super Bowl with the Rams or potentially win a Super Bowl with the Packers to sign with the Raiders? The answer is he's going to start week 1 for Vegas. Now, this will not preclude the Raiders from drafting Fernando Mendoza first overall 3 weeks from today. Mendoza will be the pick for the Raiders. He is their quarterback of the future. But Clint Kubiak literally told us 2 days ago that there will be a quarterback of the present for the Las Vegas Raiders, and it won't be Mendoza. That quarterback will be Kirk Cousins. And I hate this. I hate it for the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's not an anti-Kirk Cousins thing. Kirk Cousins could come in and play decently well, and I am sure, because by all accounts, he's a really good guy, and I'm sure that he will be there for Mendoza, and part of the job is, Cousins knows he's not going to start the whole year, and he's not going to be long for Vegas, right? And part of his job is going to be to mentor Fernando Mendoza. And if you could imagine a quarterback, a veteran quarterback, who would be a good mentor to a young quarterback, you wouldn't think Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, you'd think of Kirk Cousins, right? So it's not an anti-Kirk Cousins thing. It's an anti-common sense take here on Cousins starting week 1. Why delay the inevitable? Why delay it? Mendoza should be starting immediately, in the same way that any young quarterback should be starting immediately. If the goal of all of this, right, is for Mendoza to get as good as possible, as early as possible, then he's got to play. And the Raiders are wasting time in every game that Kirk Cousins starts. You are delaying the inevitable. Fernando Mendoza is Thanos in this instance. He is the inevitability. He's the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know what the Raiders' schedule is, right? We don't know what anybody's schedule is yet, except for the Niners and Rams playing week 1 in Australia, which is so insane, right? Let's just say I'm making this up. I'm making it up. The Raiders host the Broncos in week 1. I'm totally making that up, right? What is the point of Kirk Cousins starting that game and not Mendoza? Oh, because, the Raiders' offensive line is still bad even though they signed Tyler Linderbaum and, we don't want to expose Mendoza to that early? Bullcrap. I call BS on that. The line's probably not going to be, what are you going to do, sit him the whole year? And your response to that might be, well, the Chiefs did that with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time. If we're trying to, let's sit a quarterback so he becomes Mahomes, you're probably going to be wrong. And for every time you want to talk about a Mahomes situation working out, there's a bunch of them where you can say the quarterback should have played right away. I don't like delaying the inevitable here. I don't think Kirk Cousins does anything for the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's not an anti-Kirk Cousins take. He'd be welcome on 32 NFL rosters in some way. Every team would welcome Kirk Cousins. But if you're a Raider fan, and look, the team has bigger fish to fry, and I acknowledge that. If I'm a Raider fan, I am not pleased with this news that Kirk Cousins is signed, because it means Fernando Mendoza will not be starting week 1 for the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't wait to ask former NFL MVP, former Raiders quarterback, my good friend Rich Gannon about this when he joins us next hour on the show. But that's next hour here on You Better You Bet. Coming up next, as in a few minutes from now, let's talk some Final Four with Clark Kellogg from CBS Sports. We'll get into Bill Self staying at Kansas and what it means for North Carolina. Clark Kellogg joins us next here on Thursday on Westwood One Sports.
Well, I haven't really gone through much on the court. You know, I've gone through some stuff off the court, so I'll get back and get with family and visit and see what's going on. I love what I do. You know, I need to be able to do it where I'm feeling good and healthy to do it.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Today, BetMGM players will receive an Any Sport Odds Boost token. To use the token, add a wager made up of bets from any sport to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with the token, you will receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today. That the voice of Kansas head coach Bill Self after the team's second-round loss at the buzzer to St. John's. We had thought that maybe Bill Self would ride off into the sunset, but in great news for Kansas and great news for college basketball fans and for the sport, Bill Self will return for at least one more season to the Kansas Jayhawks. Joining us right now to talk about that and talk about the Final Four coming up on Saturday, one of the best guys in the business, one of the best broadcasters in the business, extremely generous with his time, has joined us a couple times here in March, now in April, on the road to the NCAA Championship coming up on Monday night. The great Clark Kellogg, CBS college basketball analyst. My friend, very much appreciate the time. How's it going a couple days out from Final Four Saturday?
Oh, all is good, Nick. Good to have a chance to hang out with you again. But we've had a great 2 weeks leading up to the Final Four in Indy, and very much looking forward to some terrific matchups and hopefully 3 outstanding games and the crowning of a worthy champion on Monday night.
Oh, I think it's almost a certainty that will be the case. The betting market will have you believe that both of these games are going to be very close on Saturday with Illinois, UConn, and Arizona, Michigan. And Clark, I definitely want to get your opinion on the games, but would love to start with the big news in college basketball as Bill Self releases a statement on Wednesday night saying that he will return to Kansas for another season. I think this is great news for college basketball. Obviously, if you're a Kansas fan, you've got to be jazzed right now. Clark Kellogg's reaction to Bill Self returning to Lawrence.
Well, thrilled to hear the news. I mean, I just heard it as you talked about it, and glad that that's the case because it means that Bill feels good enough from a health standpoint to continue to coach. And that's great news, again, for college basketball, obviously for Jayhawks fans. But he's one of the very best in the business, has been for a long time. I mean, he's one of the best guys in the business, too. He's about the right stuff. He people the right way. I mean, there's not much you can't like about Bill if you had a chance to spend any time with him. He's one of my personal favorites to talk hoops with, to watch work. And no, that's great news primarily from the standpoint of he feels healthy enough because he's had some fairly serious health scares here recently around his heart. And that's nothing to play around with. And the fact that he feels good enough to continue to move forward, because I think he's got a lot of runway in front of him as long as his health is good. So that's good news all around.
Yeah, and it did sound like, right, and we played the audio, when he said that after the loss to the buzzer beater against Rick Pitino and St. John's in the second round, we came on the air on this show, Clark, the next day on that Monday and said, like, it feels, not definitely, but maybe, that Bill Self could end up walking away, and it was obviously a huge story over the last couple of weeks, so great, obviously, and you said it best, that his health is good enough that Bill Self feels like he can continue coaching. Now, we will absolutely talk about the game on the court on Saturday night I can't wait for it, with Arizona and Michigan. But I do feel like I need to ask you this, Coach, because it's been reported by a number of reputable outlets, including CBS Sports with our friend Matt Norlander, that now with Bill Self returning to Kansas, North Carolina is obviously the elite head coaching vacancy, right? And that the 3 top candidates are current Chicago Bulls head coach Billy Donovan, Michigan's Dusty May, and Arizona's Tommy Lloyd. Now, if Billy Donovan decides to remain with the Bulls, who let up 145 points last night to the tanking Pacers, we'll see what happens there. It kind of feels like there's an extra bit of juice to the proceedings on Saturday night, like a ladder match in WWE. Instead of a belt at the top of the ladder, it's the North Carolina coaching job. Is that a fair? And I'm not trying to say that May or Lloyd will leave their program, or that they're even thinking about it. Yeah. That's not the point of this. But I do think it's a fair question to ask. Do you think there's anything to that, and that the coaches are considering that heading into Saturday night?
I have no idea what the coaches are thinking, other than I would guess they're focused on trying to win a national championship. Obviously, the pundits and the rumor mill and talk radio is going to go wherever it decides to go in this regard. I have no clue, quite honestly, Nick. And I really don't spend a ton of time wrestling with it. It's well beyond my purview as far as what I like to focus on. So I don't really have an idea. I just like to watch it unfold, and we'll see what happens when it happens. The speculation, the guesstimation, that's just, for me, it's just kind of a waste of energy. I don't think it adds anything additional other than it fuels and spins the wheels of debate and talk show stuff. But other than that, I can't see where it's anything more than typical banter around potential change. And that's human nature, but I don't give a ton of time or attention to it. They are two terrific young coaches that obviously are in position to maybe win a national championship. And so I would think all of their attention and focus is there. For those on the periphery, it might add some additional juice, the speculation about what might happen, but I can't imagine it's anything really occupying much of their time.
I'll tell you what, and I appreciate the response, Clark. Different strokes for different folks. I love
That's
it.
Right. That's right.
I gotta tell you,
I
love it.
I love
it.
Folks,
I love it.
A lot of folks love it. Yeah,
I love it,
yeah.
and I appreciate that you don't. Absolutely,
why folks would love it.
Yeah.
I appreciate why folks would love it, but for me, it's I only have so much room on the hard drive, Nick,
right,
and I choose to fill my hard drive up with some other stuff.
God bless you, my man. Because I'm laying in bed last night thinking, man, like I can't wait to say WWE ladder match with Tommy Lloyd and Dusty May coming up on Saturday night.
That was actually a pretty good analogy, though. I did appreciate that. That was pretty good.
I appreciate, and that does mean a lot coming from you, and I sincerely appreciate that. Let's do what I'm sure something that is in the Clark Kellogg hard drive right now. And that's the actual games that will be played coming up on Saturday in the because this Final Four is spectacular. This tournament's been great. You guys have done a great job on CBS for the duration of the tournament. So game numero uno, and I don't know if you know what the betting line for the game is. And I say that just to say this, because I think a lot of people might be surprised that Illinois is the favorite in the game after UConn beat Duke in the fashion that it happened, obviously, in that great game on Sunday. Now, it's a small point spread. Illinois is just a 1.5 point favorite in the game, so close to a pick'em.
Okay.
I think Arizona, Michigan's going to get a lot of the attention because those have been two of the best teams all season. I think this game has a chance to be just as good. Clark, your thoughts on Illinois and UConn for a berth in the title game number 1 on Saturday?
I can't say anything more than what you said, Nick, about it. Obviously, there's only room for one top billing on the marquee, and that would obviously be Arizona and Michigan. That's because they have been the two most dominant teams all season long. I don't think anybody would argue that. And on the other hand, we've got two other teams that very well could win the national championship as well. And I think Illinois is, because of its size and versatility, the way the team has started to defend of late, they've been outstanding defensively, and they're excellent rebounding. So they've got a tremendous opportunity to play on Monday night for the championship and perhaps win it, whoever's on the other side of it. UConn is not quite as dominant as they've been, but they've got the most dominant big guy in the tournament remaining in Terrace Reed. He has been absolutely punishing as a scorer, rebounder, shot blocker, playmaker, every way that you can play, dominate, from the post position, he's done it, and it's been uber impressive to watch. But I think we've got the potential for 3 terrific games, and I'm not surprised Illinois would be a slight favorite based on the fact that they played at a high level. They're a little more versatile, and their size can pose a problem.
If you had to guess, Clark, if I asked you to guess the favorite of the Michigan-Arizona game, and I'll just tell you it's a small point spread, who do you think's favored in the game, if you had to guess?
I would say Arizona.
So I like Arizona in the game. Michigan's actually a small favorite in the game, again, it's like a 1.5 point spread. So the market's basically saying pick the winner of the game. But I find that interesting that Michigan is the favorite. Just I feel like you probably do. Now, I'll stop short of asking your prediction for the games, right, for each game. But if as you conceptualize it, right, in your basketball mind, someone who's done this forever, played college basketball, played in the NBA, I'll ask the question like this. Who would you give the edge to in each of the two games? This doesn't have to be a prediction, not a best bet, just who do you give the edge to in these two games coming up on Saturday, if that's a fair question?
Well, I'll actually make a prediction once we're on the air Saturday. I haven't landed where I think I'll be, but I would give the edge to Illinois in Game 1 and Michigan in Game 2. Illinois, because of the size and versatility it offers defensively and the ability it has off the bench. And Andre Stojakovic, he's been a dominant reserve, and he's a hard matchup for just about anybody. He's aggressive in going to the bucket. He's big. He's strong. He's just a hard matchup. And then the Vicic twins, along with Wagler running the point. And I just like Illinois' overall two-way potency and versatility at both ends of the floor. In the other game, I would lean Michigan. Again, you look at these teams, Arizona and Michigan, they are so much a carbon copy of each other. Top 15 in offensive and defensive rating. That's points allowed per 100 possessions, points scored per 100 possessions. They've got 7 guys that average between 8 and 16 points a game. Tremendous balance and versatility. Arizona doesn't rely on the three or shoot it as much as Michigan, but they do shoot the most free throws. They're top 3 in the country in free throws made and attempted. So all of that bodes for a potentially classic battle in both of these games, I think.
Cannot wait for it. Cannot wait for it coming up on Saturday. A couple more minutes with Clark Kellogg, one of the lead studio analysts for college basketball on CBS, on Twitter at Clark Kellogg CBS. Clark, my final question, what's it been like working with Nate Burleson in studio during this NCAA tournament?
Well, obviously, Greg Gumbel is forever etched in my heart as a tremendous colleague and friend and professional in his role as the air traffic controller in that seat for a couple of decades. Always think about him. EJ stepped aside for the first 2 weeks this year, and we'll see him in Indianapolis. Very much looking forward to being with him. But Nate, I thought, did a really outstanding job. He's got great personality, great energy, enthusiasm, knows and loves hoops. And it's not an easy spot to be in, not only in terms of the mechanics of the job, but also who he's replacing. And he handled that, I thought, beautifully and got better each day. It's a lot of heavy lifting in that seat. We as analysts, me and Charles and Kenny and Renee and Bruce, we get a chance to react to what we're seeing. It's a different role in the seat that Nate sits in, but I thought he was terrific and thoroughly enjoyed being able to spend that kind of time with him. I've admired his work on the NFL and the other stuff that he does, CBS Mornings, but it was great to be next to him in that role and see him handle it extraordinarily well.
And what's so funny about that, Clark, just like my opinion on it's, I think people watching at home, and they can't, it's impossible to know this, right? If you've never been in it, how hard that job is and stepping into that job like that. I think people think like that's easy. It is very, very much not easy. I'll tell you what, every time you join me on the show, you make it easy. You're the best. Just like one of the best guys. That. Oh, you're awesome, man. You're the best, and can't wait to watch you guys on Saturday and on Monday. Have a great broadcast, and happy early Easter, my man, to you and your family.
Yes, indeed. A blessed and meaningful Easter to you and all of your listeners, and very much looking forward to another opportunity to be courtside for a Final Four in Indy. Have a great weekend, Nick. Thanks, man.
You as well. The great Clark Kellogg joining us here on You Better You Bet. I love the difference in perspectives that people have. And I mean that sincerely, right? I, as someone who has done sports radio for more than half my life, I turned 43 in 2 months. I've been doing this since I was 18. Like the idea of Tommy Lloyd and Dusty May facing each other on Saturday and like both being candidates for the North Carolina coaching job, like makes me giddy with excitement. And then there's Clark Kellogg, like, yeah, like, I want to talk about, like, the zone defense here, like, how to break the press. I love the different perspectives. Hour 1 done, hour 2 for you coming up on the other side. Joining us to begin hour number 2, talking some Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, my good buddy, Spike Eskin of WYP in Philadelphia.
biggest names in the business are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening, as you do every day, to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Brought to you by BetMGM.
The tremendous Sports Thursday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our crew, and you on Westwood One Sports. How about that first hour of the show today? Clark Kellogg ending the hour. Thoughts on Bill Self returning, the North Carolina vacancy. He thinks we're going to get an all Big Ten national championship on Monday night with Illinois and Michigan. I hope he's wrong. And so does my bank account. Please give me Arizona and Illinois in the national championship game, and your boy will be a very happy camper on Saturday night into Sunday morning. Started the show talking about Puka Nacua, checking into rehab, and what I think it means for the LA Rams, who are clearly all in on this season. And I don't think maybe they believe they can count on Puka. Human nature will tell you that people like Sean McVay and Les Snead, who are trying to win a championship, not next year, this year, with Matthew Stafford, that they're going to have a big move up their sleeve. Maybe it'll be trading for Eagles receiver A.J. Brown. We'll talk about that with Spike Eskin and more in a moment. And we broke the news on the show, Kirk Cousins signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, and why I hate this, because it's delaying the inevitable. Fernando Mendoza needs to be starting from week 1 for the Las Vegas Raiders. We'll talk about that with former NFL MVP, my friend Rich Gannon, coming up about 20 minutes from now. But joining us right now on the show, one of my absolute favorites. Candidly, like a mentor of mine in the industry, does an amazing job hosting on WYP in Philadelphia, the Odyssey station in Philly, a ratings juggernaut, along with my friends Ike Reese and Jack Fritz. The great Spike Eskin on Twitter at his name, at Spike Eskin. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
Hey, Nick, how the tables have turned. You're usually the guest on my show, and now here I am invited into your house. Thank you.
It's honestly, I can't believe it's April and this is your first time on the show. This is a bad job by me and a bad job by our producer, Bill Zimmerman. Let's get right into it, man. So Yesterday, we did a ton of this Jalen Hurts story, right? From Tim McManus and Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. And after the show, I'm thinking like, what are we going to do for tomorrow? We need to get Spike on the show. So I don't know your opinion on the story, and I can't wait to hear it. I think it's a nothing burger, and honestly, I think it made Nick Sirianni look bad, the story. Spike Eskin's opinion on the Jalen Hurts, basically hit piece yesterday from ESPN.
So I don't think it's a nothing burger, but I wish I had this. I would not recommend anybody say this if I was like the person coaching that person. I wish I had a more extreme opinion on it, in that most of what was in there, and Tim McManus and Jeremy Fowler are great reporters, and them getting as many sources as they did is obviously very, very good. I wish there was something in there that I hadn't already assumed and we hadn't already talked about, either from speculation or whispers down the lane or little drips and drabs in previous reports. I think the things about Jalen, him being resistant to coaching, maybe being a little tougher within the building than you would want him to be, pushing back against things that he doesn't perceive that he is good at, the under center thing. All those things were things that either you saw on the field and you added up to +2 to 4, or things that you had heard prior. I think it's interesting, given that it is coming out in a off season where he doesn't really have very much guaranteed money after this year. And so, and they brought a new offensive coordinator in to change all of these things. I guess, I wonder if it was a hit piece, or it was a message to him, or maybe a little bit of both. So long answer, wish I had a more concise take on it.
You're really plugged in, right? And you said something just now that I thought was fascinating. And there's a bunch of different things happening at once, like the Everything All Together All at Once, whatever that movie that won the Oscars. So Jeffrey Lurie, right, the Eagles owner, like basically gives an impassioned defense of Hurts earlier this week. You said just now about the guaranteed money, and like that makes my mind think of someone who A, loves the NFL and B, does sports radio. Is there a chance that Hurts is not long for the starting quarterback job in Philly? Like, if this doesn't go well, and there's tons of mixed messages here. So let's focus on the second thing here, because you just said the thing about the guaranteed money, right? Is there a chance that Jalen Hurts is not the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles week 1, 2027? And if so, like, what % chance would you give it?
I think there's absolutely a chance of that happening.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a chance of that happening. How much of a chance? It is so difficult to predict. I don't know, 30%, 25, 30%. I think.
What is Super Bowl MVP? And this is, I'm not disagreeing with your opinion. I just think this, like, I can't believe that this is a thing that we're actually talking about. That, like, he's going to get run out of town. He won Super Bowl MVP last calendar year, and we're having this conversation.
But Nick, how long can you do that, right? Like, you can say that for sure. And I don't know, maybe Jalen Hurts will pick up the new offense, and maybe he'll be great with the new offensive coordinator, and maybe everything will be fine. But if it's not, you can look at that Super Bowl year. Yes, he won the Super Bowl, but you also look at their offense from 2022, and it's true that the passing game has gotten worse every single year, from 22 to 23, from 23 to 24, from 24 to 25. And they've done the same thing. And I know you can look back at last year and it's true and say the offensive line wasn't good and blah, 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 blah. But the truth is you're not always going to have the best offensive line in football, and you need other solutions. And I think, like, you know, a lot of it comes down to him. There's the under center thing, which just seems like a football thing, him not wanting to be under center. But it's more than a football thing, in that if we all agree that Jalen Hurts is probably not his best, trait is not passing, right? That's not what he's best at. So they have to have a strong running game. Well, if you got to have a strong running game, you got to be able to run under center. And if you're going to run under center, you got to be able to pass under center too, or the defense is going to know that you're running every time that you're running. And it's just this very easy stuff to see. And if he cannot or will not do it, I don't know how long you can watch the offense. They were 20th in offense last year in points per game, 20th, and 7th the year before. And, I think 7th the year before that and 4th the year before that. It's gotten worse every year. And he's not the only one to blame. But when you're starting to look for solutions to the problem, he has to be part of the solution, not just a problem that they have to solve by making everybody else good. So I think you can say that he's Super Bowl MVP, and then what if they're 23rd in offense this year, and what if they can't pass the ball again? Well, I don't know. What do you say, Super Bowl MVP again? How long do you do that, and how long do you pay him for a year that he had 2 years ago, which, by the way, he wasn't even that good that year. He really wasn't.
But also, like, we're also kind of ignoring the fact that, like, he outplayed Mahomes in the first Super Bowl also, and could have been the MVP of that game as well. No,
right? But that doesn't score you points in 2026. It just doesn't. Those are great. And for every one game like that, I could say, well, they also got blown out by the Bucs in the first round. He also threw a game-ending ridiculous pass at the end of the 49ers game, again in a loss in round 1. You could also look at that Rams game that they won in the playoffs. He got sacked 7 times. He took a safety, and I think he threw for 90 yards. And there were 2 games this year where he did not complete a pass in the second half, and they won the game. And it would be, you could say, well, maybe they were up 30 points and they just, no, that's not what happened. And we continue to give him the wins, but not look deeply into how he's playing. Yes, he played great in those moments, and that is what is so confounding about him. I think there is a chance that the message that has been sent to him has been received. I think that him not having guaranteed money is a good fire to light under his ass, to be honest with you. And maybe you will get a guy that is a little more bought in on where they need to go and a little less focused on where they've been.
All right, you bet on this Thursday, Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, joined by my friend Spike Eskin, afternoon drive host, WIP in Philadelphia, on Twitter at Spike Eskin. I don't think, like, if I were to ask you off air, hey, like, what do you think of two-part questions in sports radio? You might be like, you're not supposed to do that. I'm going to do that right now. So fine, yeah. I read the story yesterday, and I thought, my opinion, it made Nick Sirianni look bad. Because it's this idea, well, we don't want Jalen Hurts to do all the heck. We don't like that he's calling these audibles at the line of scrimmage. I don't know. You're in charge. Tell him not to do it. Like, I think that makes him look bad. So I tweeted the video out, like, my take on this. And I got a ton of responses from Eagles fans. And as you might imagine, it's polarizing, right? And it feels like to me, and I'm curious, because you're in it, right? You're in the eye of the storm. People either are pro Sirianni or pro Hurts. So the two-part question is this. If I asked Spike Eskin to choose, you can have one of the two, Hurts or Sirianni, what would you choose? And if you think most Eagles fans had to answer that question, would they choose the coach or would they choose the quarterback?
Man, that is a tough one. So I think I'll do the second part first. I think most fans would choose Hurts simply because there are more fans that believe in Hurts, like that are very pro Hurts, than there are fans that are super pro Sirianni. I think people appreciate Nick Sirianni, think he's a good coach. I don't know that there are a lot of like diehard, I believe in everything that Nick Sirianni does and is. So I think there's more passion toward Jalen. That's why I think more people would choose Jalen. As far
You're
as
going to pick
one,
Sirianni. Go ahead. Do it.
I would probably pick Sirianni because I think his flaws are probably easier to work around than Jalen. And I think there's one. I agree with what you said about the things happening within the building. You know, for a guy whose entire thing is culture, they've had 2 seasons where it was a complete disaster from a culture standpoint. The A.J. Brown thing went on for 3 years.
And there's a rite of passage out. They won the Super Bowl and we got the Tim McManus, Jeremy Fowler piece last year. Like, it's every year we get this now.
Yes, I agree. I think part of Nick's issue is I don't know how empowered. They try to convey, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman have tried to convey like how empowered Nick Sirianni is to the public. I don't think anybody believes it, and I don't know how many people in the building believe it. So I agree with you. If Jalen is doing all of this stuff, then fix it. But then also you read and you sort of know that the owner really loves Jalen. And you remember that when that stuff was happening in DC with RG3, when the owner really, really loved the quarterback and the quarterback had different rules than everybody else had. And I wonder if they see, you know, Nick in the same way that the Rams organization sees McVay or the Chiefs organization sees Andy Reid, that the buck stops there and what he says goes. And I think that might make it a little more difficult on him to do what he would need to do. I'm not passionate about either one of them. I think Nick is a good coach. I think he's probably 10th or something in the league. You know, I would maybe 8th. I don't know. And I think Jalen is a pretty good quarterback. I think he's probably 12th or 13th or something like that. I'm not super passionate about keeping either one of them, but if you made me pick one, it would probably be Nick.
I tell you, I didn't think we'd get I know you're not saying that he's this guy. I didn't think we'd get a Dan Snyder, Jeffrey Lurie comparison on today's show. I mean, Lurie is a top 1 percentile NFL owner. He's one of the best, and Dan Snyder might be the worst of all time.
I agree.
You have to bounce. You have to bounce in a couple minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 30 seconds. Will A.J. Brown be on the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 1?
No chance.
I agree. People get really mad, Spike, when I say that.
Yeah.
Like, why do people get so mad about that in like 20 seconds?
It's so crazy. Because they don't, you know, I think it's sort of our culture now. When you hear news you don't like, you blame the people who tell you the news instead of what the news is. Like, the Rams admitted publicly they were trying to trade for A.J. Brown, the Patriots. It would be very easy for Howie Roseman to just say, A.J. Brown's going to be on the Eagles next year. Never has. So he wants to go. I think people just don't want it to be true, and that's why people get mad. There's no chance he's going to be on the Eagles this year.
Final question, and you are maybe the number 1 person in the country that is equipped to answer this question. There's been a lot of them recently. What is Spike Eskin's opinion on public beefs in sports talk radio?
So I think they're all different. I think some are positive, some aren't. I think when they happen within a radio station, they can be dangerous when they happen within a radio station. A sports radio station is a very delicate, like, tinderbox of egos and that sort of stuff. And while some of that makes news, not as much news as it used to, it can also create I think a difficult workplace, and I'm a big culture guy. And so I think some of it is good and some of it is healthy. If you're busting balls the same way that you would do with a buddy off air, and everyone can look each other in the face and smile and all that afterwards, I think that's one thing. The stuff that happens with, some of the former sports radio people, and the current sports radio people, I actually don't see very much value in responding to it largely. I think every case is different. I think, making noise, I've always been a proponent of making noise, but you have to make the right noise. And I think some of the beefs publicly that have happened lately is the wrong noise for us and maybe the right noise for them, the people who are not involved versus the people who are involved. So, I think sometimes they're good. I think sometimes they're bad. I think when they're within a station, you should be careful. And if it's without a station, make sure that the person that you're arguing with is at least as famous as you are, or you're doing them a bigger favor than they are you.
What would be a favor for me? If the Knicks didn't have to play the Sixers in the first round. I'm very much hoping that we don't get that, because I would be very nervous.
Don't be worried.
Next time, because I know you got to go.
Yeah,
Next time we have you on the show, we need to talk about this, because I got to tell you, the upside for that team's pretty high. We're past the point that you've given us. Appreciate your time. Afternoon Drive, WIP in Philadelphia with Ike Reese and Jack Fritz. Be well, my friend. Spike Eskin with us on
See you, Nick. Thank you for having me.
The great Spike Eskin here with us on the show. Always appreciate his time. One of the nicest guys. And just sincerely, just so people know, anytime I have ever called him or texted him and said, hey, I need a piece of advice, he is very, very generous with his time, is a good person, and a great, great mind for this business. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side, hey, Kirk Cousins signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. How about a former Raiders MVP quarterback joins us? The great Rich Gannon coming up next on Westwood One Sports.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
This segment on You Better You Bet sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save on commercial auto insurance from Progressive. Get a fast quote at progressivecommercial.com. We're going to be joined by former NFL MVP Rich Gannon coming up in a few moments on the show. We're very much looking forward to that. It feels like another lifetime ago that Rich and I were teammates at Sirius XM NFL Radio, working together on, at the time, the Sirius XM Blitz with our friend Adam Shine. Produced for Rich for a number of years, which was really great. One of the best guys out there, and can't wait to get his take on Kirk Cousins signing with the Las Vegas Raiders and what that will mean for the Raiders this season, and if that will preclude Fernando Mendoza from being the Raiders' Week 1 starting quarterback. We have a lot of NBA that we'll get to over the course of the show as well, including Victor Wembanyama's performance last night for the San Antonio Spurs against the Golden State Warriors, and why I think we've reached, if you've checked your clock, if you've checked the watch, scary hours for the Eastern Conference, with Jaylen Brown scoring 43 points last night for the Boston Celtics, and Jason Tatum tossing up a casual 25-point triple-double as the Celtics dropped 53 points last night in the first quarter on the Miami Heat. So a lot we still have to get to with the Boston Celtics, a lot we have to get to with Victor Wembanyama, and a lot to get to in the NBA. So Rich is going to join us in just a couple moments. And while we wait for Rich to join us on the show, there is a story that I wanted to do yesterday, and we just had so much going on over the course of the show, we didn't end up getting to it. So we can touch on it now for a few minutes before Rich joins us. And that is what's happening in Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. So Steelers owner and team president Art Rooney II speaking at the league meetings earlier this week. I should just get that recorded. Speaking at the league meetings earlier this week. I've said it about 1,000 times on the show this week. I think every sports radio host has. Art Rooney said that he expects Aaron Rodgers to make his decision on whether or not he will play in 2026 by the draft. So he expects Aaron Rodgers to have his decision made within the next 3 weeks. Round 1 of the NFL draft, 3 weeks from today. And I cannot believe that this is where we're at. I am stunned that this is still happening right now. That Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in 2026, with Mike McCarthy as the head coach, are still going through this process. It's absolutely ridiculous. Mike McCarthy was also at the league meetings this week, and speaking to the assembled news media, McCarthy was obviously asked about Rodgers. And McCarthy gave a quote saying that this is now his 20th year, and like he had a couple years off, but his first year as an NFL head coach was in 2006. And he was asked at the league meetings 2 decades ago if Brett Favre was going to come back. And now, fast forward 20 years later, and he's being asked again about a future first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback if he's going to come back. And McCarthy says this with like a laugh and a chortle. Ha ha. Isn't this funny? Isn't it amusing? And Mike McCarthy also, every chance he gets, just says, I can't believe I'm the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, my childhood team. Like he won a contest or something. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers ran some type of contest. Be the head coach of the Steelers. Only Steelers fans apply. And Mike McCarthy got the job. He's like, wow, I can't believe I'm coaching this team. Do the Steelers fans out there in the audience, do you understand how stupid all of this is? How bad all of this is? And that I know the Steelers made the playoffs last year. I understand. I get it. Aaron, and I'm the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan, period. I think he's the 7th best quarterback in the history of the NFL. First ballot Hall of Famer. One of my favorite quarterbacks ever. I think he's shot. I don't think he has it anymore. And I think this is going to end in absolute disaster for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. Joining us now to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kirk Cousins and the Las Vegas Raiders, and more. Friend of the show, and more importantly, friend of mine, the legendary Rich Gannon, former NFL MVP, Sirius XM NFL Radio. My friend, what's going on?
Nick, it's great to be with you, brother. I am so excited for the draft. It's right around the corner. Everybody's grinding away, trying to cross their T's and dot their I's and make sure that, they've done their due diligence. But this is an exciting time of year. I mean, you've got a new crop of rookies that are going to come in and learn what the NFL is all about. So I'm really excited. I'm excited for a few in particular, one of them being Fernando Mendoza, who I think is going to wind up in the silver and black. I can't wait.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the draft 3 weeks from today, Rich, the expectation is that Fernando Mendoza will be the first overall pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. And we have some other Raiders quarterback news that broke last hour on the show, and I gave my opinion on it. And just to give you a little context, the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins, right? And Clint Kubiak said a couple days ago that in an ideal world, whoever the rookie quarterback, and we know it's Mendoza, wouldn't have to start in week one. So it's not a surprise that the Raiders go out there and get a veteran quarterback. And this isn't a negative on Kirk Cousins, who I think every team in the league would like to have him. Sean McVay said he wants him. Matt LaFleur said he wants him. Just my opinion, Rich, and like, what the hell do I know? You want MVP. Maybe you feel differently. I just feel like it's a waste of time if Mendoza's not going to play from week one on. Where does Rich Gannon stand on this debate? Because you'd have to imagine, even if the Raiders draft Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, if healthy, will be the Raiders starting quarterback in week one.
I'm not so sure that's the case. I just think it makes a lot of sense, and here's why, Nick. First of all, you want to bring it that quarterback room is critically important to the overall success of the team. I think you and I would agree to that. So it's not just the one player. What's the room look like? Is it a room that works together? Is it a room that pushes each other? I think you want to bring in a veteran quarterback to help mentor the young player. Kirk Cousins is at a point in his career that, he knows he's not, his best days are behind him. And I think he realizes this is an opportunity. He's 37 years old to continue to play, to continue to make good money. But more importantly, I think to give back to the game to help a young player. I think their personalities are very similar. I think these are high character, high integrity players, and, they're going to work well together. And I just think that, bringing a quarterback that's got 167 starts under his belt, has thrown for almost 45,000 yards and almost 300 touchdowns, is a good guy to have around, a young Mendoza. And I just think Clint Kubiak has history with Kirk Cousins. I think when Kirk Cousins has played, even the last couple of years, even last year, despite the fact that he lost his job to Michael Penix Jr., he went 5-3. The Falcons actually played pretty good with him down the stretch. So, I just think it makes sense in a lot of different areas. I think the price is right for the Raiders, and I think you bring in somebody who can really be a good sounding board, a good mentor, and somebody who will push Fernando Mendoza. And just because Kirk Cousins was signed doesn't necessarily mean that he'll roll out there week one.
If you had to guess, Rich, and this can be a guess right now, right? Who do you think starts more games for the Raiders in 2026? Assuming Mendoza's the first overall pick, which we think is going to happen, right? Fernando Mendoza or Kirk Cousins?
Well, I think a lot of it depends upon how the season starts, right? I think, and I always say this, Nick, it's not just whether the young quarterback is ready to play. Is the team around him ready for the young quarterback? In other words, is the offensive line going to be any better than it was? I thought it was the worst offensive line in football a year ago, and that's the thing that really I think was upsetting to me when you look at John Spytek coming in. Like, the offensive line was bad. So, they went out and get Linderbaum, and, they're going to continue to address that area. I think not just in free agency, but the draft. They've got a good young running back that didn't really have a chance last year running behind that offensive line in Ashton Jenkins. They've got one of the best tight ends in football in Brock Bowers. And, they've got a couple good young receivers. They just went out and got Jalen Naylor. So I think, they're going to continue. I think that wide receiver position is an area to keep an eye on in the draft. I still think offensive line, but I think a lot depends upon how they start. And I don't think you want to throw a young quarterback out there and get him knocked around and lose his confidence. I think if they feel like he's ready to play, he can handle the workload, he can handle all that goes into playing that position at a very high level at an early point in his career, I think you'll see him more than Kirk Cousins.
What do you think Raiders fans and the Raiders, Rich, are getting with Clint Kubiak as their head coach? And I loved, by the way, you and like a lot of Raider alumni being there at the introductory press conference. That was nice to see your handsome face there by Clint Kubiak with Charles Woodson and others at that Raiders press conference.
Well, I was there last week as well, and I had a chance to sit down with Clint and talk with him, and just one-on-one, and it was awesome. First of all, I love everything about him. I've known his dad for a long time. I had great respect for Gary as a player and as an assistant coach and someone who went back to the college game and kind of worked his way up and really developed into an outstanding quarterback coach and coordinator and eventually a head coach and a world champion. So I think Clint's done it the same way. He started at Texas A&M as an offensive quality control coach. He's been with the Vikings. I think if you just look at his last 5 years, Nick, it's fascinating. The Vikings, the Broncos, the 49ers, the Saints, the Seahawks. He won a Super Bowl. His family's moved around a lot. I think he's ready for this opportunity. I think there's a couple things that really jump out to me about Clint Kubiak. He's grounded. He's humble. He's hardworking. He's passionate. This is important to him and to his family. He wants to succeed. He's asking the right questions. He's put together a great staff. He's brought in people that he's worked with in the past. And I think I'm excited. I mean, I've always, obviously as a former Raider, you're excited when there's change that you think is a positive thing. I think it's a lot different than what we saw last year with Pete Carroll. I think as much as I like Pete, he made a lot of mistakes, critical mistakes, including hiring Chip Kelly.
And not just hiring Chip Kelly, but paying Chip Kelly an extreme amount of money and then dismissing him like 3/4 of the way through the season. Absolutely ridiculous. You Better You Bet on this Thursday. Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports. My guest, my friend, the great. Some call him the Silver Fox. And who am I to disagree? Former NFL MVP, Sirius XM NFL Radio's own Rich Gannon. Rich, I'd love to hit some NFL news stories with you. Fascinated your opinion on the article that came out yesterday from ESPN, basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing the article, right, that Jalen Hurts is reticent to change and that he audibles too much at the line of scrimmage and that he may not be as coachable as people think. What did you make of that article from ESPN and your expectations for Jalen Hurts this coming season?
Well, I like Jalen Hurts, and in fairness, Nick, I think you have to look at, what's happened around him, right? Because we always talk about so much of what happens at that position is impacted by what's going on around him. And I think when you look at, all the different coordinators that he's been around, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, they've had Frank Reich, they've had Mike Grohl, they've had Shane Steichen, they had Brian Johnson, they've had Kellen Moore, they had Kevin Petula last year. Every year it's somebody different. Now they try and keep the terminology and the system the same, but I think it's time for Jalen Hurts to own this thing, right, and take more responsibility, more control at the line of scrimmage. And look, I always say, if it's not the way you want it, you're the air traffic controller. You have control. And I think he's a world champion. He's a Super Bowl MVP. And he has the ability, I think, to walk into the head coach's office or the owner's office and say, hey, look, here's what I want to do. And, I think that's what's missing when you look at the Eagles' offense. You go back to the very beginning with Jalen Hurts, and it was so much about, Jason Kelsey making all the protection calls up front, taking some of it off his plate. Now it's time for him to, I think put his big boy pants on and take ownership of it. Own that offense in Philadelphia. Run it the way you want to run it within the framework of the system. And, be more demanding. Be more demanding of the coaching staff. Be more demanding of your teammates. Because at the end of the day, if it's, there's only one person who's going to take the hit. Besides the head coach, it's usually the quarterback. And I just think when you look at that offense, there's something missing, right? 2 years ago, they ran the ball so well. Last year, there was, they just struggled. They struggled really with their identity as an offense. They weren't the ground and pound and beat you up physically. I think that impacted his ability to function. I think it impacted his ability on third down in the red zone. And I think the guy's an outstanding talent, but needs to be more involved in the day-to-day operations of that offense.
I want to spin this a different way, Rich, because I read this article, and what I thought was, okay, like the Eagles are upset that Hurts audibles so much at the line of scrimmage, and he wanted to run 4 verts at the end of the Niners game, and they knew it was a bad idea, apparently, and still did it. Here's where I'm thinking, right, is and you know me and I know you, right? We both want to be great. And I hear that and I read that, and my thought is, hey, Nick Sirianni and Kevin Petula, if you know this is a bad idea, why are you letting him do it? And at some point, and this is Mike, you can disagree with this, and that's fine, right? And you've been in these wars, I haven't, where at some point, like, don't the guys in charge have to stand up and say, like, if we don't want him to do it, then he's not going to do it. Like, that's kind of where I'm getting tripped up a little bit. I think it made Sirianni and Patullo look bad, some of the stuff in that article. You agree or disagree with that?
So I agree, and I think at the end of the day, Nick, this is not flag football. This isn't a pickup game, in the backyard. There has to be rules. There has to be a framework. There has to be structure and discipline within the system. I think the play caller and the quarterback have to be joined at the hip. They have to be on the same page. Here's the other problem. Like Sean Mannion, I'm excited for him, but this guy in 2023 was playing in the NFL. He's only been with the Packers a couple seasons. He was an offensive assistant in 24. He was a quarterback's coach last year. Now he's calling plays in Philadelphia for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. I mean, they're big. That's a lot to ask. If I'm Sean Mannion, I want to come in there and I want to clean up things. I want the communication to be better. I want to make sure that the quarterback clearly understands the why. Why am I calling this in this situation? I want to be able to get in his headset and say, hey, Jalen, it's 3rd and 8. I'm expecting some type of pressure. If we don't get pressure, get me to 200 jet dragon. Hey, I'm expecting, I want to run the ball here. If we get some overload or some pressure look, get me to 358 sluggo. I want that type of communication. I want the quarterback to understand why are we calling plays. And that gets back to the ownership part of it. When you understand it, when you're a master of your domain, there are less breakdowns. There are less chances of breakdowns. I think you think of Tom Moore and Peyton Manning. I mean, the symmetry. Even myself and John Gruden, we spent so much time during the week talking about situational football, talking about things that could happen. Hey, coach, what if they show me this? What do you want? Hey, talking to the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator, Bill Callahan. Hey, Bill, we want to run 96 power to the overfront, right? What if I get a guard bubble? Do you want to stay with it? Hey, what about we get into some type of a Navajo or jam look? Do we stay and play? Do you like the run? Those are the type of questions. Those are the type of conversations that Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion need to be having during the course of the week.
I'll tell you, when you say master of domain, I think of a different thing. I think of Seinfeld, and I think they were talking about something entirely different. Rich, right? As it's saying, it's story for a different time, yada, yada, yada. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I led the show today, Rich, talking about Puka Nacua checking himself into rehab. And, we don't have to talk about the young man, and hopefully he gets better. But I think the football part of this is so fascinating, right? Because this is clearly a team that's all in to try and win a Super Bowl this year. And we saw that with the Trent McDuffie trade, signing Jalen Watson, and obviously who knows how much longer Matthew Stafford's going to play for. So I would imagine, Rich, in some way, shape, or form, and the Rams have known about this for quite some time, obviously, that this may change their plans for this offseason, and maybe they do something with that 13th pick. Maybe it's A.J. Brown. What do you think the Rams are going to do? And nothing can be the answer to the question. Do you think this news with Puka Nacua changes the Rams' outlook and the way they're going to approach this offseason?
It may have something to do with what they do in the draft, Nick. But at the end of the day, and I think you know this, I have about a handful of players, maybe 5 or 6 that are like my favorites, like Patrick Ricard. Like when I think about a big defensive tackle from University of Maine that comes to the National Football League and makes a transition to fullback, H-back, tight end.
Going to be a great Giant.
Ravens.
Yeah, he's on my team now.
Oh my gosh! I'm excited for this guy. I mean, first of all, I love him, but I love Puka Nacua. Why? Because he's an unselfish player. He's willing to, go in short motion and dig out a safety in the running game. He'll go in the middle of the field to do anything he asks. He's a big, tough guy that's willing to, get his nose bloodied, and I love that about him. I love everything about him. I'm concerned. I'm sad to hear that he's struggling a little bit, but I'm happy that he's getting some help. But I'm a big Sean McVay fan. Love him. Love Les Snead. I think they knock it out of the park when it comes to personnel decisions, whether it's free agency, whether it's the draft or the current roster. I just think they're going to continue to try and create some competition at that position. But he's a rare specimen. I mean, when you look at Puka Nacua at 6'2", 216 pounds, he's willing to go. Not a lot of guys are willing to go in there and he could play for the 49ers. So you cannot play for Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay if you're not willing to block in the running game. And this guy is a great example of it. Love everything about his game. But I agree with you. I think the Rams are all in. Like every year, this is who they are. They've got a quarterback that's, it's not getting any younger. He's a special player. He's an elite player. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. But he's 38 years old. And, but he's still playing at an elite level. This is these years he's coming here. I mean, who knows what's going to happen after Stafford's done? In other words, if you got another year or two out of Stafford, what are you going to roll with Stetson Bennett? You excited about that? Does that make it that? You know what I'm saying? So, this is. If you're Matthew Stafford, if you're the Rams and you have Matthew Stafford, 38 years old, you realistically you say to yourself, we have maybe 1 or 2 more years to try and get this thing done.
I know. I think I know what you wanted. You're the best, man. Final question, not football related. Dude, I love you, man. If Rich Gannon could have one sandwich for lunch today, whatever you want. Whatever meats you want, whatever bread you want, whatever toppings you want, what would Rich Gannon's ideal sandwich be and why?
Well, Nick, I'm a big Metro Cafe guy when I'm in New York City, but I would say, and you know me, I'm about as boring as it comes when it comes to sandwiches. I would go with a turkey sandwich on a bagel. Okay, dry, and I mean dry like my personality. Okay, like no mayonnaise, no cheese, no peppers, no onions, just turkey on a bagel. Okay, dry, bro. That's how I roll.
I might have known that was going to be Rich's answer, which is why I asked the question. Shout out to Metro Cafe. I love you, man. You're the best. Hopefully we get to do this.
You're the best, bro. I miss you. Talk to you soon. See you, pal.
Well, here's what's great. We don't have to miss each other. We come on the show as many times as you want. You're the best. Rich Gannon joining us here on You Better You Bet. I used to work with Rich. When he would come to New York, I would get his sandwich for him at Metro Cafe. I haven't thought of Metro Cafe, which is this obviously like this cafe that was right downstairs from Sirius XM in Midtown Manhattan. And Rich would literally get like turkey on wheat with nothing on it. I used to be like, dude, what are you doing? He's the best. On the other side, I was thinking we would do some NBA, but I kind of think we need to talk about sandwiches with the crew. So we'll do that next. 310-840-4910. What is your ideal sandwich? What a question. YouTube.com/@thekostos. The show rolls on right after this.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
All right, we'll push the NBA conversation, Wemby, the Boston Celtics, and more to next hour. Have a bunch of baseball topics to hit as well, a blind ranking along the way. Trivia and our bets for tonight will wrap up the show. But to close out this hour, we had our friend Rich Gannon on the show who said that his ideal sandwich would be turkey on a bagel with nothing on it, which is a horrible choice, and he knows that in his heart of hearts. We'll find out what the crew thinks in a moment, but first we got to tell you about our show sponsor, BetMGM, because today, BetMGM players, is it possible that at any point before all of us die, that I can do a read without everybody typing in the chat? Please. Before all of us croak and leave this earth, if I can do a read without everyone typing in the chat and screwing it up, please. Please. If you guys are still tired, it's unbelievable. I'm trying to pay the bills here for us. Today, BetMGM players will receive an Any Sport Odds Boost token. Honestly, I would say keep doing it as a bit, but we really do have to pay the bills. To use the token, add a wager made up of bets from any sport to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today. All right, let's go around the horn here. Bill Zimmerman, your ideal sandwich is what and why?
But it's certainly not turkey on a bagel. To me, I could go any which direction here. I'm going to say after Thanksgiving, that roasted turkey on a sandwich, a little mayo, add a little bacon, do a little lettuce to it. My sandwich hot take is tomato on a sandwich is terrible.
Yeah, I disagree with that. But listen, this is all beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I like tomato, but I understand people that don't. Tyler Morales.
I actually had this yesterday. Italian sub, lettuce, tomato, just douse it with oil, vinegar, give me a bag of chips or soda. I can eat that every day. So that's my go-to sandwich.
I think it's tough to disagree with Tyler there. I think that might be my choice as well. Kenny Henderson.
Yeah, I usually get the wreck when I go to Potbelly, so I do a fully loaded sandwich. But if I'm just making a basic sandwich, some gabagool and some prosciutto with some pepper jack cheese, mayonnaise on white bread.
Kenny, your last name ends with a consonant. You are not allowed to say gabagool. Only my last name ends in a consonant. So. Yes, fair enough. Dude, I'm trying to think of. I want to get Dan and Mike's thoughts on this. Maybe we'll do that next hour. But I have married into. I've talked about this a lot on the show, but this is my life. Whatever. I'm an intensely Italian family, right? And I'm trying to think of the word that Italians pronounce that is the most unlike the way it's spelled. Gabagool's up there, which is capicola, right? Which is called gabagool. No, wait. How is caponata pronounced? That's a really weird one also. Oh, yes, excuse me. Now I remember. Caponata, which is eggplant and potatoes and olives and a red sauce, it's delicious, is called gabaladine. So caponata is spelled Caponata and is somehow pronounced gabaladine. It's no wonder they didn't qualify for the World Cup. Also, I'm part Italian. I can say that. Okay? Now I'm hungry for some fresh mutts. I hate that. I really do. Final hour. I don't. I love it. Don't tell my wife. Final hour, power hour coming up next. A lot of topics we need to hit in the world of sports. We'll get to some baseball, scary hours for the East, and Victor Wembanyama.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and you. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. We will talk some NBA and some Major League Baseball and a little NFL in a few moments. A blind ranking coming up later this hour in college basketball that Bill and Tyler have promised will be great. We'll see how I do. I smashed the first one, which was blind ranking, number one overall picks, quarterbacks in the NFL. We'll see if I do as good a job or better in a little bit. Trivia still to come. Our bets for tonight will close the show. But I'm fascinated to get the answers from our friends Downtown Mike Brown and Dan the Man Turner, our video producers on the show. If they could have one sandwich for lunch, what would it be and why? After Rich Gannon, former NFL MVP, telling us that he would like turkey dry on a bagel. I'm going to go with Tyler Morales. Now, I don't agree with Tyler's choice necessarily. I do like oil and vinegar on an Italian sub. I'm into that for sure. Honestly, maybe I'm going sun-dried tomatoes. It's possible, right? Maybe a little, as the Italians say, broccoli rub. Because, instead of broccoli rub, it's pronounced rub. Broccoli rub. So I'm with Tyler. Some kind of Italian sandwich for me. I don't know if it would be the exact one that he laid out. Also, a good French dip is delicious also. There's this place in Manhattan that I've been dying to try in New York City called Salt Hanks, which has gone viral, that does a French dip that'll apparently blow your socks off. I'd like to go to Salt Hanks at some point. Anyway, I'm working myself into an extreme hunger, which will need to be sated after the show. Until then, let's welcome in our friend Downtown Mike Brown. Mike Brown, if you could have one sandwich for lunch, what would it be and why?
Well, I know the place. It is from a specific restaurant that I'm not going to name, but this sandwich is awesome. It's a prosciutto sandwich topped with fresh mozzarella, with arugula and fig jam. Weird combination, but it's all on ciabatta bread. It's really, really good.
Why don't you want to say the name of the place? You like it. It's not like you don't like it.
Well, yeah, but it's that could be seen as an endorsement, and I went through that whole training video here, guys. Come on.
There's no endorsement. We're not getting paid by anything. If you say the name of a restaurant that you like, I don't think you're endorsing them. I don't get paid by Salt Hanks. It's just a viral sandwich place. Okay, but Mike wants to err on the side of caution. That's okay. Is Dan the Man Turner with us? I don't know if Dan has video. That's okay. But Dan, what is your ideal sandwich?
Okay, so it was going to be a cheesesteak, but Kenny made a good point. It's actually a po' boy from Johnny's in New Orleans. It's an alligator po' boy with lettuce, tomato, and a spicy Creole sauce.
So for people that don't know, right, a po' boy are fried oysters, correct?
No, it's just a fried whatever meat's in it.
Oh, okay. I thought a po' boy had to be oysters, fried oysters. I had one once with fried oysters. I thought I would like
shrimp,
it. I didn't like it.
Alligator, it could be anything.
Okay. Dan, are you worried that you will lose your job since you said the name of a restaurant that you like in New Orleans?
No.
Mike, I don't want to. There's no endorsement. No one's getting paid. Just saying, I like sandwiches at this place. That's all it is. There's no need to be concerned. Turkey on bagel dry. Good thing Rich's NFL takes are really good because his food take absolutely miserable. All right. A bunch of stories that we need to hit right now in both the NBA and Major League Baseball. Kenny, let's begin our countdown, please.
1.
So just to pull the curtain back a little bit, I said to Kenny yesterday, Kenny, we're a little slow on the uptake here with needing the sound to be played. I cue it up. There's like 3 seconds of silence. Kenny goes, I got it. Enter today. Let's begin the countdown. Silence. Kenny has apologized in the chat. Hopefully we will get to these a little quicker moving forward here. All right, story numero uno. Victor Wembanyama continues to absolutely dominate the NBA. So last night, Wemby, 41-18. His second consecutive 41-point game as the Spurs destroy the Golden State Warriors. Remember, I told you yesterday, why in the world is Steph Curry going to come back this season for Golden State? So you can beat the Blazers and then maybe beat the Clippers or the Suns so you can get swept by Oklahoma City in the first round and get a worse draft pick? Like, come on. I don't know what the Warriors are doing here. And after the game, Steve Kerr lavished Wemby with praise. And there's a long quote. I won't read the whole thing, but at the end, and the most interesting thing that I thought from the quote was Steve Kerr saying, Wemby looked young, just not in terms of like, he's obviously very youthful. He is very 22, right? Not looking young in terms of his appearance, but like as a basketball player, looked young over his first couple years. And now he's in full command and he's absolutely dominant. The San Antonio Spurs, I don't know if people know this. The Spurs are 58-18. 58-18. They are likely to win 60 games this season. And what an insane accomplishment that is. To be this early in the timeline with all the best players on the team, and maybe you want to say De'Aaron Fox is one of the best players. He's a little older. He ain't even that old. But it's like Wemby, Castle, Harper, all young. They are the Thunder from a couple years ago when OKC was the 1 seed and lost to Luka and the Mavericks in 6 in that tough second-round matchup. Now, the problem for the Spurs is that the Thunder are still around and they're a little older, but then San Antonio's obviously had the regular season success against OKC. Right now at BetMGM, the NBA MVP market is fascinating. SGA is your favorite, minus 350. Wemby is the second choice on the board at plus 250. Now, Shea was asked earlier this week, SGA was asked about MVP, and if he wanted to make a case for himself, and said, I thought it was pretty cool what he said. He laughed and said, not like derisively, I think Shea is a guy that kind of, you feel like he's telling the truth and he's being himself. Jim Boeheim said as much when he joined us on the show last week. And Shea said, I let my play on the court do the talking. Compare and contrast that with what Victor Wembanyama said post-game last night when he went on SportsCenter on ESPN with Scott Van Pelt.
Oh, yeah, I do care deeply about it. And I think that all the greats, that are in the Hall of Fame or that are, in our mind, the best of all time, they have fought and grabbed everything they could grab early on in their career, And if I want to make my spot among the greats, I got to try to not miss any occasion I have to put my name up there.
I love that from Wemby. So I love it from Shea, and I love it from Wemby. It's two different ways of approaching the situation, right? Shea's a little more cool, calm, and collected. He also has one already. Just different personality types. And you remember when the Spurs beat the Clippers like 3 weeks ago on like that random Friday night game and had the 25-point comeback, and Wemby is literally crying post-game, not like bawling, but he has tears in his eyes because he's so moved by the moment and moved by the comeback. Like, and this is not to insinuate that SGA doesn't care. Obviously he does, but they express themselves differently. Like, Shea's a little bit more like cold and businesslike, and I don't mean cold in a negative way. And Wemby's a little more, I'm going to wear my emotions on my sleeve. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm thinking, and I'm going to do a little campaigning for myself. And again, neither's bad. And I'm not being passive-aggressive when I say it. I absolutely mean it. And I'm thinking last night as I'm in bed, and I got in bed too late, both because I'm watching basketball and I'm playing a franchise on Madden, which I freely admit, 42 years old and still knocking out franchises in Madden. And I'm thinking, who's the best player in the NBA right now? Who is it? You could make the case for 4 players. Let's take Giannis out of the equation for right now because, he's barely played this season. It would be SGA. It would be Jokic. It would be Wemby. And I think, given his recent run of form, I think you have to put Luka Doncic in the conversation. I think Luka would probably be 4th of the 4, and that is not meant as an insult to him, but a compliment to the other 3. And if you disagree with that, 310-840-4910, youtube.com/@the Kostos. We'll be able to answer this question in a couple months when the NBA champion is crowned. I think we'll know who it is. And I love that inevitability that exists when we enter a postseason round. So back to MVP. Wemby wants it. Shea obviously wants it, even if he's not going to say it. Both teams have 6 games left, and the playoffs start in 16 days in the NBA. The Thunder tonight, and we'll do this with Game of the Night a little later in the show. The Thunder host the Lakers tonight and are 9.5-point favorites. So love that. Can't wait to bet that game tonight. Host Utah. Go to LA to play the Lakers. Stay in LA to play the Clippers. Play the Suns at the end of the year. The Spurs at the Clippers. At the Nuggets. Home Sixers. Home Pistons. Home Dallas. Home Denver. I think it is likely that the Thunder, who are 2 games up now with 6 to play on San Antonio, given the schedule, it's likely that OKC will be the 1 seed. Which means SGA is going to win another MVP. That's how Wemby wins. This is, I think, there's a 1-for-1 thing here. Whoever the 1 seed is in the West, the star player will win most valuable player. So if the Spurs are the 1 seed, it'll be Wemby. If the Thunder are the 1 seed, it's going to be SGA. The odds reflect that SGA is more likely to be the 1 seed. That's regular season MVP. The Western Conference Final is likely, not definitely, likely to be Thunder Spurs. And I think the winner of that series, the best player on that team, will win Finals MVP. And that one, a little more important than regular season MVP. Now that's the Western Conference, right? Let's talk about right now, perhaps the best team in the Eastern Conference.
2.
So that was good. That was good by Kenny. That was a nice, not a lot of time there from my cue into the number 2. Good job by Kenny. Kenny was ready, as he says in the chat. Thank you very much, Kenny. I need a ruling from the young members of our crew, which, honestly, Tyler's kind of old at this point. He's 31 or 32. Kenny's still in his 20s. Am I too old to say scary hours? Or am I still young enough that I can get away with scary hours? All right, so apparently I'm good enough, which means it's not cool at all to say it. We have right now what I would consider to be scary hours in the NBA Eastern Conference. Because last night, the Boston Celtics dropped 53 points on the Miami Heat in the first quarter. 53 points in the first quarter. Jaylen Brown scored 43 points last night. He's ridiculous, playing the best basketball of his career. I keep drawing the corollary, right, of Scottie Pippen in 93-94 when Michael Jordan was out for the Bulls. Now, obviously, Tatum came back, and Jason Tatum's not Michael Jordan, but I think you understand the comparison that I'm making. So Jaylen Brown rips off 43. Jason Tatum last night, again, just he tore his Achilles 11 months ago, and last night goes for 25 points, wait for it, 18 rebounds, wait for it, 11 assists. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous what the Boston Celtics are doing. It's ridiculous what Jason Tatum's doing. And I have to keep it a buck, as the kids would say. Maybe I'm too old for that. Keep it 100, as the kids would say. I'm a Knicks fan. The Knicks beat the Celtics last year in the playoffs, so it's not impossible if they meet in the second round that the Knicks would win that series. If my life were on the line, I'd pick Boston. Detroit has been so good without Cade Cunningham. I would pick the Celtics over Detroit in that series, and I'm not even entertaining the Cleveland Cavaliers. And like people smarter than me when it comes to basketball have, and I think they're crazy. I think this is your likely Eastern Conference champion. Now, I'm sticking bet-wise with my Knicks, and I'm going to root for the Knicks. But if this is what it's going to be, like here's Jaylen Brown, 40 points. Tatum's back to triple-double form. It's scary. It's scary for the rest of the Eastern Conference. I don't know if it's scary for the Thunder and the Spurs, but definitely scary for the Eastern Conference. Kenny?
3.
All right, we got a lot of baseball stories that I'd like to hit here. Remember opening day? Paul Skeens gets shelled by the New York Mets, and we had some unfortunate plays in the outfield from O'Neal Cruz, leading to the shortest outing of Paul Skeens' young MLB career. And remember what we said the next day. Like, yes, this is a noteworthy story. Paul Skeens is a crossover star. Not just one of the best young pitchers in baseball, was one of the best college pitchers, number 1 pick in the draft, and is dating Livy Dunn, who, you know, like I'm old, and even I know who she is. She's exceptionally famous, former gymnast, right, at LSU. Sports Illustrated swimsuit. She's going to be in the Baywatch remake. So Paul Skeens is very famous even when you get past sports. And I said, and I'm right, and like a lot, if you're smart, you said the same thing. Paul Skeens is going to be just fine. Well, Paul Skeens bounced back yesterday, 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, as the Pirates beat the Cincinnati Reds. We also have this, and Bill, is this official? That Connor Griffin will be making his his Pirates debut coming up tomorrow, his debut this season. So Connor Griffin is one of the best prospects in Major League Baseball. I like how the Pirates are going to call it. They're not going to drag this out for arbitration or whatever nonsense. I like that. Yeah, Peter's cousin. If I watched Family Guy, I would do a Peter Griffin impersonation. Yeah. Was that good? I can do, what's the creepy old man in Family Guy? Herbert? The muscly arm paper boy. He's very, what he does. Herbert does. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Very creepy. Quagmire, also a funny character. Anyway, Connor Griffin will make his Pirates debut tomorrow. Love that in Major League Baseball. Elsewhere in Major League Baseball, this is something that gives me pleasure as a Yankees fan. How about Cam Schlittler? Say that 5 times fast and you lose your job. Cam Schlittler, looking like the ace of my New York Yankees, shoving yesterday on the road in Seattle, 6 1/3, 2 hits allowed, 7 strikeouts as the Yankees beat the Mariners and take 2 of 3 in this early season series in the Pacific Northwest. My Yankees out to a 5-1 start, and the starting rotation, it's early. It's a historic start for the Yankee starting rotation. It may not keep up, but they are pitching at a level that we have literally not seen before in the history of Major League Baseball. That's how good the Yankees' rotation has been. It's early, but it's a great start for the Yankees, and we haven't even seen Garrett Cole pitch this year for my Bronx Bombers. And then there's the Boston Red Sox. Yes, I hate the Red Sox as a Yankees fan. The inverse of my Yankees right now. Boston loses yesterday to the Astros, and the way it happens is, maybe not funny if you're a Red Sox fan. So Garrett Crochet, who was my pick to win Cy Young, he could still win, drills Yordan Alvarez, and Yordan Alvarez is furious when this happens. And the Astros are furious. Carlos Correa comes up a couple batters later and launches a home run. The Astros end up winning the game, and the Red Sox are 1-5. It's very early. There's 162 games. Yankees 5-1, Red Sox 1-5. And I absolutely love it.
4.
At the top of the show, I said that there is a figure right now in the world of sports who is having a no good, very bad week. And everybody is laughing and enjoying this person's misery. And the reason why I said that is you could think, maybe he's talking about Tiger Woods. Maybe he's talking about Puka Nacua, right? No. Because everyone's rooting for Tiger. People are rooting for Puka. And whether right, wrong, or indifferent, and it's probably wrong, you know what? it's definitely wrong. Because this guy's a human being too. C.B. Buckner, who has become the face of incompetent umpiring in Major League Baseball since Adriel Hernandez stepped away from umpiring games. So we told you on Monday about ABS and how I love the start of ABS in Major League Baseball, challenging balls and strikes. We actually saw the Orioles win a game yesterday on an ABS call. Like, it wasn't a close game, but they won on a disputed ball strikes call in the Orioles game yesterday. Baltimore won that game. So over the weekend, CB Buckner is umpiring a Reds-Red Sox game, right? And Eugenio Suarez challenges 2 consecutive pitches that were called strikes by CB Buckner, and both are overturned. And the crowd in Cincinnati, that's the loudest they've cheered since like a Cincinnati Bengals playoff win. So Buckner has kind of become the face of umpiring incompetence, right? And every time he has a call that's wrong and gets challenged, everybody laughs at his expense. So last night, CB Buckner is umpiring the Milwaukee Brewers game and takes a ball fouled, a 100-mile-per-hour fastball from Jacob Mizorowski, who throws really hard, right? Foul tip off his mask. Immediately drops to a knee and is clearly shaken up. There is a 13-minute delay in the game, and CB Buckner leaves the game, and the umpiring crew is 1 umpire short because Buckner has to leave the game. If you're CB Buckner, at what point do you say, you know what? I'm good. I don't need this bleep anymore. Everyone's laughing at me. Like I'm risking bodily harm and I got my bell rattled by a 100-mile-per-hour fastball fouled off my mask. At what point does he just say, I'm good, and rides off into the sunset and enjoys the rest of his life? I'm being serious right now. If I were CB Buckner, I don't know if he needs the money. If he doesn't, why are you still doing this, man? I think CB might stand for can't believe this bleep. If I'm CB Buckner, I'm stepping away from Major League Baseball. We'll take a quick break here on this Thursday, and on the other side, a college basketball blind ranking featuring yours truly, Bill Zimmerman and Tyler Morales. Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
All right, well, welcome Bill and Tyler back into the show in a moment here for a college basketball blind ranking. But very interesting reporting going on as it concerns Kirk Cousins' contract with the Las Vegas Raiders. So we told you in the first hour of the show that Kirk Cousins signed with the Raiders, right? We talked about it with Rich Gannon. He likes the signing, thinks that there's some value and benefit to Cousins starting at the beginning of the year, not Fernando Mendoza. I disagree, which is really funny because I'm just, sitting here in this office talking about sports, and Rich Gannon started a Super Bowl for the Raiders. But that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Just start Mendoza. Like, why delay the inevitable? But the bottom line is that Kirk Cousins is now in the Raiders quarterback room, and I think is the clear favorite to be the team's week 1 starting quarterback. ESPN's Adam Schefter tweeting moments ago, and I'm going to get to why this is interesting in a moment. Almost to the point that I had to double take and say, is this a darn Schefter? Which is the Schefter troll account that tries to get, tweets fake news to try and get people to retweet it. Here's the tweet. Compensation update. Kirk Cousins will sign I don't even know if I could say this with a straight face. A 5-year, 172, and if you're a Raiders fan, don't drive off the road. Let me finish. A 5-year, $172 million deal with the Raiders that in reality is actually a 1-year, fully guaranteed $20 million deal that contains a club option for 2 years at $80 million. Okay, so it's a 5-year, $172 million year for a 50-year-old quarterback that actually is a 1-year, $20 million. I don't understand this. I don't get it. Then we have Ian Rappaport tweeting, and I'm going to tell you why this is fascinating in a second. Ian Rappaport tweeted, basically concurrently with Schefter, quote, the Raiders are signing Kirk Cousins to a contract that pays him $10 million for playing in Vegas in 2026 and $10 million next March and a fully guaranteed roster bonus with no offset. There's a 2-year team option for $80 million. Rappaport adds, essentially a $20 million payday for Cousins in Vegas, then we'll see. But the idea was that he wouldn't play for the minimum. Now he gets a lot more. Here's why this is interesting. Yesterday, April 1st, was the last day, it was actually March 31st, was the last day of NFL Network being an autonomous organization. As of yesterday, April 1st, not an April Fool's joke, legitimate, ESPN now owns and operates the NFL Network as part of the ESPN's huge media deal with the NFL. So NFL has an equity stake in ESPN, and ESPN now controls NFL Network. The thought is right now, and this is, I think Rappaport had actually talked about this, and Schefter actually, and I apologize if people don't care about inside baseball, so I find it interesting. Schefter retweeted something that a piece of news Rappaport broke during free agency, which led a lot of people in the sports media to speculate that they're going to be working together. And that as part of this, ESPN taking over NFL Network, that they will pair Schefter with Rappaport, like once upon a time, ESPN paired the late, great Chris Mortensen with Adam Schefter. And that they would dominate NFL reporting. And obviously there are other NFL newsbreakers, right? Like Diana Rossini does a great job for The Athletic. You can say what you want about Jordan Schultz, our friend. He breaks news sometimes as well. Jay Glazer, obviously, for Fox, never gets stuff wrong. And apparently, host day drinking events for NFL coaches at the owners' meetings, or the league meetings. God bless. I think this is a little interesting that Rappaport and Schefter are tweeting two different things when they're supposed to be teammates now. And I don't know if they're actually teammates yet. I think that's a fun media story to watch for. Just interesting that Schefter would say 5 years, $172 million. Well, actually, it's 1 year, $20 million. This would be like me putting on my Tinder profile back in the day. Height, 5'11", showing up to the date and being, well, actually, I'm 5'7". What? You said 172 million. You really meant 20? I don't understand. I'm sure there's something going on here that's beyond my scope. one way or another, Kirk Cousins will likely be. And just last note, that money tells you $20 million that this is not, he ain't coming to hold the clipboard. He gon' be the starter week 1 in Vegas, assuming he's healthy, and Fernando Mendoza will be his backup. You bet on this Thursday. Nick Kostos and you, now joined by my executive producer, Bill Zimmerman. Tyler Morales with us as well. Bill, lay out for the audience what's about to happen here in this blind ranking.
All right, so the blind ranking, Nick, we've got 10 people, again, that you're about to rank. I know last time you dominated with the NFL one, possibly a perfect list. I think this one's going to be a little more challenging. Tyler and I came up with this one last night. This is going to be NCAA tournament, most outstanding players since 2000, ranking them by their NBA careers. So we don't care about how they were in college. They're the best NBA career of these 10 guys that have won tournament most outstanding players since 2000.
Do I have time to think about this for a moment or no?
Yeah, you can think for a couple beats. That's all right.
Well, you give me a time that I can think for, and I will think out loud, so it won't be dead air.
All right, we'll give you 30 seconds to think.
All right, so Carmelo is the one that stands out. So I'm trying to think. McCleaves 2000, Battier 2001, Juan Dixon 2002, Melo 2003, 2000. Who won the title? Oh, Okafor 2004. 05 is Sean May for Carolina. Is that right? I think that's right.
May did win one. Yes, he did.
It may have been later though, right? Who won in 05? Now it wasn't Ty Lawson. I don't know. All right. There's Noah. Noah's a good one. Chalmers won a couple titles with. Okay, we're out of time here because I'm going to name all of them. All right, let's do it.
Impressive run, Nick. I'm surprised you do that.
Oh, I get all of them.
I can't get most outstanding players. I can't do that like that one.
I'll get all of them.
All right, let's kick it off. The first player to rank here on the blind ranking, Kemba Walker.
Damn it. He has to be up there. Okay, so I'm saving number 1. I think, just curious, I'm going to ask you your opinion on the ranking here, both of you. Better NBA career, Anthony Davis or Carmelo Anthony? In your opinion.
Anthony Davis, probably. I'd be my guess.
I'd probably say Melo.
Well, you're a Syracuse guy, so I don't know if your opinion matters.
I'm biased.
See, okay, so Kenny says Carmelo, Dan Turner says Carmelo. Anthony Davis won. So here's the way I'll answer that question. I think if you were, let's say you're a GM, right? And both of them are in their primes and at their best. Who would you rather have, Anthony Davis or Carmelo Anthony?
I mean, Anthony Davis. I don't even think that's close.
I think I agree with Tyler.
I think AD peak is better. I agree. Career, though, I'll take Carmelo. That's the way I look at it.
I'm going to save number 1 for Anthony Davis, and I'm going to save number 2 for Carmelo Anthony. Off the top of my head, I don't think there's anyone else that I would choose here for 1 or 2. So Kemba might be 3. Oh, man. Yeah, let's not put it there yet. You know what? I will account for me potentially missing one here. This is where I could screw up here. You know what? I'll be a man. Kemba Walker, number 3. Let's do that.
All right. Next name on the list, Shabazz Napier.
10. Well, is there someone who didn't play in the NBA? Like Abaji's on an NBA team right now.
I will give you this hint. All these players played in the NBA. They may not have had great careers, but they all played in the NBA.
So, I don't know if, is Luke Hancock one? He'd be 10, probably, right? So, I'll put, because at least
that's
Shabazz Napier.
With the blind ranking.
Yes, at least Shabazz Napier had LeBron stumping for him before the draft, and the Heat drafted him, even if he was terrible in the NBA. I will account for the possibility that Kyle Singler could be one of the choices here. He won in 2010 for Duke. I will put Shabazz Napier number 9.
All right, next name, Joakim Noah. Joakim Noah on the list.
So Noah should have been 3. This is where I screwed up. Kemba should be... Noah's 4. I screwed up. Noah's better than Kemba. I messed this up. So Noah's 4. Hand up. This is a bad job by me. Noah should be 4. Noah should be 3. Kemba Walker should be number 4.
Shane Battier.
So Battier's a really good NBA... not a superstar, but was a great role player in the NBA. One of the first true, great 3-and-D guys. Kenny's trying to make the case in our show chat that Kemba's better than Noah because Kemba made 4 All-Star teams and Noah made 2. I actually think the only person that knows ball on the show, besides for me, is Tyler. Tyler, if you were the GM of a team and you could have Noah at his best or Kemba at his best, who would you choose?
I would joke him Noah does 10 times more things on the basketball court than Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker just shoots and gets burned on defense. I would take Joakim Noah.
Like Noah's way better. Noah's way better than Kemba Walker. So what was the question here again, Bill? Who is the player?
Shane
Battier. I'll put Battier. I don't think there are that many good at because DiVincenzo won for Villanova, Arcidiacono won the first time, Jahlil Okafor won one for Duke. None of these guys are that good. I think Battier might be 5th. Do I want to be a man and say Battier's 5th? Kyle Guy won for Virginia. I don't even think he's. Maybe he's one of the guys. He'd be 10th. Man. Walter Clayton Jr.'s done nothing in the NBA. You know what? I'll say Battier's 5th.
All right, Shane Battier coming in at number 5. Your next name is Wayne Ellington.
I mean, he's 10, right? He did nothing in the NBA, right? I don't know if Wayne Ellington was better than Shabazz Napier or not. Neither of them did much. I'll say I'll put Ellington 10th, and maybe I'm wrong about this.
All right, next one. Could you save one of the top 2 spots, Anthony Davis?
He won.
All right, next name on the list, speaking of the Heatles, Mario Chalmers.
So Chalmers, good NBA. I'll put Chalmers 7th. He was a starting point guard on that team that won a couple. He wasn't that good, but a starting point guard on a team that won a couple titles. I'll put Chalmers 7th.
All right, so we've got Anthony Davis at 1, Mike. Kemba Walker at 3. Joakim Noah at 4. Shane Battier 5. Chalmers 7. Napier 9. Ellington 10. We've got 2, 6, and 8 left. Your next name, Carmelo Anthony.
2.
All right, so the Cuse legend coming in at number 2. Your next name is Dante DiVincenzo.
Okay, so I'm going to play this out here. I'm going to name every most outstanding player in the NCAA tournament from 2000 to right now. Let's see if I can do this. You see I do not have anything on my screen. I'm going to try and do this off memory. All right, ready? So 2000, Michigan State, Mateen Cleaves, right? 2001 is Battier with Duke. 2002 is Swan Dixon with Maryland. Carmelo in 03. 04 is Emeka Okafor. 05, is it Sean May? He won
Sean
one.
May. I've got the list up. Sean May won it in 05.
All right, then it's Noah, Brewer, Chalmers. Who won for North Carolina? Ellington won in 2009, right?
Ellington is 09, yep.
All right, so 2010 is Singler. That's the year that Shire won at Duke. That's Kyle Singler. 11 is Kemba. 12 is Anthony Davis. 13 is Luke Hancock with Louisville. 14 is Napier. 15 isn't Okafor. It's Tyus Jones, right?
Tyus Jones is 2015, correct.
16 is Arcidiacono.
Yep.
18 is DiVincenzo. Who won for North Carolina in 17? Damn it. I know I'm missing this right now in my head. 19 is Kyle Guy. 21 was who won for it wasn't Davion Mitchell. Who was Jared Butler?
Correct.
Abaji won for Kansas. Who won the championship in 23? I always forget 2 years ago who won.
We're talking now we're in the Danny Hurley era.
Okay, so it was Sonogo, right? Won the first one.
Correct.
A guard won the second, but it wasn't Castle, right? I actually don't remember who it is who won it 2 years ago. It wasn't Castle. I know who it is, and I can't think of the name.
Tristan Newton.
And then, Tristan Newton was awesome. I'm guessing Tristan Newton's not on the list. Okay, so now let's go back. So who was the last name that you mentioned there?
And Walter Clayton last year. And by the way, the one guy you forgot for North Carolina in 2017, Joel Berry.
Joel Berry, right?
Or Joel Berry. That's right, Joel.
Is that right? Joel or Joel, Tyler?
I think it's Joel. We can call him Joel.
I think it's funnier to say that, even though it's wrong. Also, have you ever heard my favorite song?
He's doing a great job in Turkey right now playing basketball.
Have you ever heard my favorite song, "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel? So who was the name that you said to be ranked next?
It was DiVincenzo. That's who we're working on.
So DiVincenzo has to be 6, based on the rest of the names on this list.
All right, and the last name on the list, Emeka Okafor.
Was Okafor better than DiVincenzo? Honestly, like, maybe not, right? Well, Okafor has to be 8. All right, so what do we... So just to read the list. I ranked AD 1, Melo 2, Kemba 3. That was my mistake. Noah should be 3, Kemba should be 4. Battier 5, I feel good about that. DiVincenzo, Chalmers, Okafor, Shabazz, and Ellington. Tyler, how did I do with this blind ranking?
I agree. You should switch Walker and Noah. Maybe Okafor over Mario Chalmers. I know Okafor's career got cut short with injuries, but I feel like he was a better player than Chalmers. But everything else, I feel like you nailed. Yeah, Shabazz and Wayne Ellington are like even. Who cares who's 9 or 10?
Well, I'd also, like, I'm a Big East guy, so I'll take the Big East team, even though they were in the American, right, when they won that championship with Shabazz Napier, which is just ridiculous. Do you agree with DiVincenzo better NBA career than Emeka Okafor?
I mean, Okafor really didn't do much. He was injured for half of his career, and at least DiVincenzo had some like playoff success.
Yeah,
he's a good bench player for multiple teams too.
Yeah, I think he's nasty. And Okafor was the second pick in that draft when Dwight Howard won first overall. So I think my mistakes, if I had to say what my mistakes were, I think the only one is Kemba and Noah. Otherwise, I think I smoked this, if I'm being honest. Kenny's a huge college basketball guy. Kenny, do you agree?
I do agree, but I'm still going to say Kemba Walker had a better career than Noah. I don't care if you guys think I'm crazy.
Yeah, well, you are crazy. Bill, your thoughts on my ranking?
Your ranking, because I do my own ranking ahead of time to try and figure out the best way to unveil them, and you're really close. I had Napier last. I agree. I had Noah over Walker, and I had Okafor a couple spots higher. But other than that, we had almost the same.
Did you think I'd be able to name all of the most outstanding players since 2000?
I had no idea you had that in your bag. 25, just ripping them off like that.
Come on,
I
Bill.
would get like 7 or 8.
Come on, Bill. Come on.
I got it,
right,
but still, that's not MVPs.
Well, let's see if you can stump me here. What is the trivia question of the day today?
All right, the trivia question, we're going to football because we talked. Mendoza had his pro day yesterday. We're talking about Mendoza with Rich Gannon today. So Mendoza, he is, presumably going number 1. He would be a Big Ten quarterback going first overall. So the question is, who was the last Big Ten quarterback to be selected first overall? This is a straightforward question. This is not, Caleb Williams, because it was announced USC was going to the Big Ten when he was there. That's not it. It's not Joe Burrow having, he blew his nose in an Ohio State uniform. No, we're talking about the college that they went to when they established themselves. Who was the last Big Ten quarterback to go first overall?
That was a Mad Dog Russo-inspired line there. It blew his nose while he was at Ohio State. There's no way you came up with that yourself. All right, quick break. On the other side, we'll answer the trivia question. All our bets for tonight on a Thursday on Westwood One Sports.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
All right, I'm very frustrated by this trivia question. I think I'm going to get it wrong. It really pisses me off. 3 great guests on the show. Thanks to Spike Eskin. Thanks to Clark Kellogg. Thanks to Rich Gannon. Bill, Tyler, Dan, Mike, Kenny, our crew. BetMGM players will receive an Any Sport Odds Boost token. To use the token, add a wager made up of bets from any sport to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today. I am laying the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight against the Lakers. Point spread's 9.5. That's the game of the night. Spoiler. You can play the sounder if you want, Kenny. Thunder Lakers, everyone's playing, should be a great game. I think the Thunder win by double digits. And the Giants of San Francisco, as opposed to New York, are taking on the Mets tonight. The Mets committed, like Francisco Lindor, all the gaffes. They can't score any runs. The Giants are a disaster also. Matt Chapman cursing out the first baseman. I'll take the team at plus money. I'll take the Giants plus 105 tonight against the Metropolitans. So those are my bets. I'm very frustrated, Bill, because I feel like I can name like every quarterback that went first overall, which means this had to have been someone like... Is the 70s the decade the answer to this question?
It is not. It is more recent than that.
What decade is it?
It is... I will give you a range, 85 to 95.
Okay. Damn. I'm so pissed. It's not Jeff George. It's not Drew Bledsoe. It's, oh man. I'm missing someone like probably pretty easy here, and it's really, what team is it?
It was drafted by the Colts.
Then is Jeff George the answer?
It is Jeff George. Yes.
I thought he went to Washington.
He went to Illinois.
Who went to Washington? Who am I thinking about?
Drew Bledsoe.
Bledsoe went to Washington State. Right? Why did I think Jeff George went to Washington? So I did know the answer.
Yeah. That was the thing when you're just like, Jeff George went to Washington, right? In the commercial break, I was like, well, I'm not saying anything.
Okay. All right. So I got this right. I get credit for this, no?
I'll give you a half point.
I can't. I love how I'll tell you, like, yeah, in 2010, Kyle Singler was the most outstanding player of the tournament, not John Shire. But then, like, Jeff George went to Washington instead of Illinois. All right, that does it for the Thursday edition of You Better You Bet. Great. I love the trivia question. We will see you tomorrow on a phenomenal Sports Friday, where among the guests that will be joining us, Robbie Hummel of Westwood One and CBS breaking down the Final Four. More fun to come on a Friday. Until then, I'm Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. Our friends Bleck and Abdallah coming up next here on Westwood One Sports.